Hey folks, Luke here from Conan Fitness, and this month we are reviewing the row. By row, we basically any pulling type motion, so bent over row, seated row, one arm row, these types of exercises. Pretty important to have them in your programs. As you'll notice, if you've ever seen some sort of outdoor boot camp trainings or outdoor type trainings, you know, a boxing training, these types of things, you'll see lots of push-ups, lots of dips, lots of shoulder presses. You'll see lots of things that involve pushing motions. Now the problem with that is that they're all well and good in themselves, but if there's no opposing motion, no pulling motions, then you do get these imbalances, particularly around the chest and shoulder region, and that promotes poor posture and leads to injuries in the end. So what we're reviewing is some exercises that obviously help with that, particularly those that have desk jobs and that typical desk type computer posture where the shoulder blades get rolled over the chest. So show you some exercises to strengthen the back up, pull the shoulder blades back, and have some really functional posture. Let's have a look at the row and let's review it. Okay folks, the first of the common faults that we often see with the rowing type motions, and using a one arm row as an example, is having a look at the spine. We want a nice flat spine, as if you could put a dinner plate on it. What often happens though is someone will tend to bend the spine, kind of like a cat stretch, and that obviously loses the natural arch and the natural curves. What we want is a neutral spine, and by neutral spine that should mean that the normal lumbar curve is still there. That's first and foremost before even looking at elbow and shoulder blades. The next point is that what we want to do is pull the elbow and shoulder blade back at the same time. So as we're doing a row, we're pulling the weight in, and you'll see that the shoulder blade comes back in the same proportion as the elbow. A very important motion. Some people will try shoulder blade first, some people will try elbow first. If you can get them working at the same time, that's obviously correct technique. And one of the most important faults, this is what most people do. You can see now what I was doing is the shoulder blade is rolling forward. You see the tip of the shoulder is actually pointing down towards the ground. And that's certainly not what we want, because the shoulder blade is rolling over, and that'll create even worse posture. So what we want to do instead is make sure, doing it correctly now, that the shoulder blade comes back. Much better technique, very, very, very different. Much better muscle pattern. Much better technique. Great. The next fault is people shrugging. You can see as the dumbbell comes up, or as the arm wants to row, the shoulder wants to come up to the ear. It's like that shrugging motion in the neck. You obviously want to abstain from that. Keep a nice long neck. Pull the weight back as the shoulder blade comes back and down. Perfect. Looking at a bent over row as an example, what we can see here, again at that bad technique where the shoulder blades roll forward, you can see the tip of the shoulder pointing down towards the ground, and you can see what that looks like from behind. The shoulder blades literally rolls forward. Instead, what we want to do is have the shoulder blades roll back and down. Perfect. You can see the big difference. Where they end up is totally retracted, that's pulled back, as opposed to being brought forward and over the shoulder. Exact same principle with the bent over row. Now here we see in slow motion a supine grip bent over row. You notice the difference, the palms are facing forward as opposed to backwards. Now the thing with this style of bent over row is that it's much harder to maintain form. You'll notice that it's easier, watch this repetition right there where the shoulder blade rolls over forward, much easier for that bad technique to happen. As you can see, as the palm comes up, because the elbows are pointed backwards more, it's easier for that forward rotation to happen. But if we pull the shoulder blades back like these reps, that's obviously the correct form, the correct posture that we should maintain. Here's just another variation. It's simply another dumbbell row, bent over row, but with neutral grip. Exact same technique applies. This one here is a little bit more of a functional motion. You see we're adding two motions together. There's a lunge and a row added together, but still the exact same points apply. Neutral spine, shoulder blade retracts at the same time as elbow, long neck. Again, a pull-up or reverse row, same points apply. And even if you did a one-arm row, again with a different stance, this is tripod stance, and your typical seated row. So if you can just maintain a nice straight spine, neutral spine, shoulder blade retracts at the same time as elbow, long neck. And that, ladies and gents, is the row. Give it a shot. Here's some tips for you.